is Jenny, and me and Chelsea from Asian American News Network is gonna interview um,
Nicholas Tan.
Nicholas from Tokyo Story today. So first off, can you please introduce yourself and I guess briefly tell us what your organization is about?
So, like you said, my name is Nicholas Tan. I am recently the new president and COO of Tokyo Story. And I reached out to you guys originally to talk about the TJPW, which is Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling, where we're bringing them to Texas for the second time, the first time being last year. And the tour is just right around the corner. March 17th is when it starts.
Okay, do you wanna talk about how what inspired you to start the organization and what brought you guys to America?
Tokyo Story.
Yes.
Or okay,
Or
yes.
I guess you can talk about both, like specifically how you started Tokyo Story and what inspired you to say let's connect with TJPW and let's host this event in America.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Tokyo Story was founded before I actually joined Tokyo Story because I joined in probably I think January of 2025. Tokyo Story was founded, I want to say 2023, by one of my business partners. He's from Japan, and the original reason it started was because he has business in America. He's in the oil business, and he goes back and forth from Japan to Houston very often, about like 2 months here in Houston, 2 months in Japan. And one day, a lot of his friends, actually, they weren't. Yeah, so he was at the rodeo. He was at the rodeo, and then he was helping like a Japanese team do like a barbecue cook-off. And somehow, somewhere during all of that, he became friends with a bunch of like the sheriffs, I guess that was around there. And they called him one day and said that they were gonna go to Japan for a trip with like 10 of them. He met up with all of them. He took them all around town, and they loved it. They never really did anything Asian or Japanese related. They just I think took a spontaneous trip over there, and he really enjoyed showing them around. He really enjoyed their reactions to a lot of the culture that he kind of shared with them. So he's like, oh, why don't we try to do something where we try to bring more like the Japanese culture here to the US with an emphasis on kind of things that are not as popular here, such as like we got a bunch of ramen in the US, but not necessarily like udon. Or in Japan they have a lot of like the gashapon machines, the ones yeah. We don't really have that here, so so we have a business where we have like gacha machines, just things like that. And kind of continuing with what you asked about how we brought TJPW, he happened to be friends or acquaintances with one of the executives of Cyberfight, which is the parent company of TJPW. And I think he just said he was having a dinner with them, and he just very casually said, "Oh, why don't we like? Have you guys ever thought about coming to the U.S.?" And I guess they kind of did. So they said, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, well, why don't I help you guys come to the U.S.?" And then they just agreed, I guess. And then we brought them here to the U.S. for their first solo show in um, 2025. In summer of 2025, we brought them to the US for the first time to do their solo show, which is different because they have been to the US before, but they were always part of like another wrestling show, where maybe they had a few guest wrestlers there, a few guest wrestlers here at different shows. But this is the first, that last year was the very first time where they had their own show where they were the stars and they weren't guests on another show.
Okay, Chelsea, do you want to ask your question next?
Okay, sure. So my question is, how do you think traditional Japanese culture had influenced TJPW?
So, TJPW has a very or Joshi wrestling in general, Joshi being like female wrestling is very unique in in Japan, because we're in basically, as far as I know, every other country, male wrestling is more dominant than female wrestling. But in Japan, from my understanding, the female wrestling is more popular, or at least on par with the male wrestling. And the history behind it is kind of dark. I believe it started like after like the war and stuff like that. The wrestling started as like female wrestling in bars and stuff.
And I know that TJPW is like a combination of like idol culture and like wrestling, and that's like very unique. How do you think Americans would take that, and how do you think it's like going to be like very different from what we normally see?
Yeah. So yeah, it is a lot of like idol culture. A lot of them will sing their own opening song. The shows usually start with a group of them called the Up Girls or Up Girls Pro Wrestling, where they every show I believe basically starts with the Up Girls performing. And then, like I said, a lot of the girls will also perform their own intro song. And the reason why it's different is because, or how they would maybe take it is that from a lot of wrestling, I'm not a huge wrestling fan myself, to be honest. Just in general, I followed it here and there, but I know some people who are really diehard who knows everything going on with every wrestling promotion, like every single week. But from my experience, a lot of it is very based in like I suppose like realism, and they take themselves extremely seriously. Whereas TJPW, I think what makes them special is that they're very comedic. They a lot of them, and everywhere in the roster you will get every aspect of the different spectrum of wrestling. Whereas some of the wrestlers are very comedic in their character. There's a character who is like she has like a Peter Pan syndrome. She's like forever 3 years old kind of thing. One of the girls loves trains and she just loves to sleep. So a lot of her techniques revolve around just sleeping, or maybe she'll be in a tag match and she'll just fall asleep in the ring while her partner has to fight two people. Um, and then there are also the other wrestlers who do have a background in like karate or something like that, where their wrestling is more based on what Americans are used to seeing. So whenever you come see the shows, you will get every aspect of the spectrum for what wrestling can be in terms of like the pure action, and then also a lot of the comedy and the skits and the character work that they do. And that's the thing that really got me into it, is because each one of them has a very unique character.
Chelsea, do you want to ask your question?
Okay, TJP's narrative is more focused on personal growth. So could you tell us what inspired these character traits?
Well, I think what I would say that is that so a lot of the wrestlers came just came up from liking wrestling, and a lot of them for example, some of the wrestlers were just fans of the TJPW to begin with, and then they just kind of they reached out and said that they really wanted to try to take it on. um and a lot of them started as fans of that specific promotion, and moved on from there. And then some of them is really interesting because one of the wrestlers, Mifu, is like a Japan like culture ambassador. And then one of them, she is in she acts as her town's like official like tour guide. Her character name is Shino Suzuki, and a lot of the Americans, they have a play on words with her name being like Shino, as in she knows, because then she knows everything about her town and whatnot. So a lot of the wrestlers also maybe were originally trying to be idols, but then maybe for one reason or another it didn't work out. So a lot of them really got to still fulfill that dream somewhat by coming here and being able to perform both in singing, dancing, and also wrestling.
So would you say it's more like they perform and then like wrestling is like a separate aspect, or do you think like in a way wrestling is a part of that performance?
Wrestling is definitely a part of performance, but because let's say I believe each show has on average maybe like 18 of them. Some of the wrestlers might just stick purely to the wrestling, but some of them might be where you said they will perform and then they will wrestle. It's just all across the board. It's just the different spectrum of what you can of what you might expect or what you might get. You will get it eventually at some point in the show.
And like with the characters, or would the wrestlers play their characters during the wrestling match, or would it be like something else?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I think the one that sticks out for sure is Palm Harajuku. Her being the like forever 3-year-old. You can definitely tell in her wrestling she's like a child. She's wrestling like a child. She screams. She has tantrums. The way she attacks the other wrestlers is the same. Things like that. It the one that sleeps. I mean, her character is sleeping. So like sometimes they'll use tag teams, and where I said like she'll go to sleep and then kind of leave her teammate to do like a 1 versus 2 situation. Her teammate will still use her while she's sleeping as like a prop and like throw the other wrestlers towards her and like make them trip on her and things like that. So definitely the character is still pretty prevalent in there. Like another wrestler, Mifu, came from cheerleading and stuff like that, and she definitely still has aspects of that in her wrestling too.
Yeah, that's like such a cool thing and like very unique. You've mentioned that you guys already like hosted once last year. Do you think there's something like that's gonna be different this year, or something we would expect?
Well, last year was, yeah, so that was the very first time they came to the US as a solo show. This year we added more wrestlers there. We're putting a more emphasis on the Japanese wrestlers. Last year we brought 15 and we have more guest wrestlers. This time we have 18 of them flying in and we have less guest wrestlers. And other than that, a lot of them are repeat from last year, with a few of them that still wanted to come, because from what I heard, that most of the girls from TJPW really wanted to come, but they just had to pick and choose like which ones could come. So I'm glad to hear that a lot we were able to bring more, because a lot of them did want to come last time. In terms of the show, what's different is that last year we went to Houston and Dallas only, or the DFW area. And then this year we are still going to Houston and we are still going to Arlington, this time in the DFW area. But we're also bringing it to Austin during South by Southwest. South by Southwest is going on right now, and our first show will be on the 17th, which is the second to last day of South by Southwest. And then we will have a second show on the 18th, which is on the last day of South by Southwest.
Is there like key wrestlers we should be looking for, or key events, key points, or something we should know before going to a show?
Well, I mean, for me, one of my favorite wrestlers is Mizuki. That's the one that kind of got me really interested in TJPW. When my business partner brought up like, "Oh, we're gonna bring these wrestlers over from Japan here," and I'm like, "Oh, let me see what this is all about." The way I got into it is when I looked up videos of Mizuki. She has a move called the Whirling Candy, where she basically like jumps, turns sideways, and does like a 720 twirl flip kind of thing. So it was like very acrobatic, and I was like, oh wow, that's extremely athletic. So that's what got me into it. Everyone will latch onto a different character based on what they like. Like I really like the athleticism of seeing Mizuki, but some people might prefer the comedy of like Pam Harajuku being 3 years old, and one of her moves is just shouting at an opponent. And some of them might like Miyu Yamashita, who is a very hardcore wrestler. She was one of the first ones that was there when TJPW started. She has a background in karate, and she's known for like her kicks and stuff like that, because a lot of them when you watch her kicks, a lot of them you can hear pretty loud impact. So, uh, in terms of picking, like looking out for any specific wrestler, they do have some more star wrestlers, but I think that you can't um, disregard some of the other wrestlers who might not be as much of a star, but a lot of them have a strong following still, and a lot of them have very unique characters.
Mm-hmm. Um, how do you think your tour from last year, like what was the reaction from the American audiences?
So we did do a little bit of a survey afterwards. We sent a survey just to kind of see how people felt about it afterwards. A number of people filled it out. I think like 100 something filled it out. Everyone said that it was essentially like a that they really liked it. They went there because they really wanted to experience a piece of Japanese culture, not necessarily for the wrestling, but just because it's a very unique piece of Japanese culture, right? I mean, it's like I said, it's one of the only, as far as I know, countries where the female wrestling is on par slash maybe more popular than the male wrestling. Um, so I mean, from what I saw there, and then when we started promoting this show, kind of seeing in the social media, whether it was on our post or maybe if somebody else posted about it, going into the comments and seeing people chime in and say, "Oh, I was at the last show in Dallas. I really loved it. I would recommend everyone to go." Um, things like that. I mean, nobody in our survey, we didn't really get any like complaints as far as I saw. Everything was basically all great.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone would enjoy like looking at the Japanese culture,
Hmm.
and I think it definitely like spreads more awareness about Japanese wrestling as well.
Hmm.
Yeah. Uh, do you think like from your personal perspective, like um, the TJPW and like this whole event, it's like gaining traction in like America and like growing.
I would hope so. That's one of our main goals is to kind of help them grow more in the US. A lot of them, they do shows, like I said, often in the US, whereas they are guest wrestlers and stuff like that. But we really want to give them a platform to where they can have their own shows, run it how they want, not necessarily against abiding by the needs of whatever promotion, whatever wrestling company that they're combined with.
And like you mentioned like goals, do you have any like short-term goals for this tour and any long-term goals for TJPW or like your organization?
To be honest, no. Right, myself, not really. I mean, we would love to see TJPW grow some more, maybe be able to do a tour even outside of Texas. So we're doing it in Texas because we're based in Texas. But it'd be really cool if we could go to like Las Vegas or the West Coast or the East Coast or things like that. But right now, we're just kind of taking it day by day, seeing how things go.
That's good to hear. And do you think one of like this is more towards like your organization, like instead of just focusing on wrestling, would you guys plan on like branching out towards other aspects of Japanese culture and spreading it?
So some of the other projects that we do have, like I did sort of mention the Gashapon before, in terms of we're trying to kind of show sake a little bit more because we have seen there is a and the importation of sake from like Japan and stuff to the US has increased a lot over the past few years. But a lot of times when I go to restaurants and stuff, there's not really that much around in terms of the sake. Whereas, if you go to a fine dining restaurant and you look at their wine list, especially if it's a fancy place, you see tons of bottles. We really want to be able to kind of promote sake more. We also are trying to import matcha because one of my business partner over there was like, oh, everyone uses matcha from like Kyoto, like Uji matcha and stuff like that. But there's a lot of other prefectures in Japan where matcha is very popular in Japan from like Shizuoka or Mie prefecture and stuff like that. But we don't have that matcha here, so we're trying to bring other matcha here, just to kind of promote that some more. And I mean, udon was one project that we were looking at trying to do as well, because in Houston, as big of a city Houston is, we have, as far as I know, one restaurant that is a udon restaurant specifically. Um, so it's like as big of a city as Houston and as multicultural it is, we only have one udon restaurant. So we really want to try to bring udon more, because it's also just generally healthier than ramen. It's not as heavy and stuff like that. And I mean, in Japan, if you want to look at their normal day-to-day life, ramen is more of a kind of a special thing, because it is really heavy on the stomach and stuff like that. You can't really eat it every day, or you won't feel very great. But udon, the broth is a lot lighter, so that's something that is a core part of Japanese cuisine that's not really popular here yet for reasons I don't really know. I prefer udon myself.
So would you say like the long-term goal or mission of your organization is just to like spread more of Japanese culture?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Just the big idea is trying to find things of Japan that are big in Japan, but not necessarily that big here yet for whatever reason. I guess another one is the Nazatoki games, which are kind of I think geocaching, where there's like puzzles and stuff in the US. And it takes you have to like figure out the puzzles and use the hints and stuff like that to try to figure out, wherever the thing is. um but Nazotoki has been getting really popular in Japan over the last few years, and that's something that we're trying to also bring to the US. And bringing it to the US as part of the TJPW Texas Stampede tour. We made a little Nazotoki game revolving around some of the wrestlers.
Yeah, so like how you mentioned, like maybe you're trying to promote like other stuff through TJW. Um, is there like other aspects of the wrestling show that is like more than just watching the show, wrestling, like maybe like interactions with fans?
Yeah, so after the show, we have a meet and greet that is open to everybody. The meet and greet itself is free, and it can get pretty busy because of that. I mean, thankfully we have 18 wrestlers for all the fans to kind of split across all the lines and meet them all. Um, but I hear a lot of fans have a lot of fun going there and attempting to talk to the wrestlers, because a lot of them only speak Japanese. But a lot of them, we have a Discord channel, and then we've asked them about like the meet and greet and such like that before, and a lot of them say that even the little short 15-30 second interaction that they may have, that they really like it, and a lot of them really hold that as something special that they can take away with them.
That's very good to hear, and I hope that the event would actually like bring more awareness across like America about the Japanese culture. Okay, so thank you so much for accepting our interview today. Is there anything else, I guess maybe like a last note about promoting the events, the event specifics that you would like to mention?
Yeah, so I the tour is 4 days, March 17th, 18th in Austin, the 21st in Arlington, Texas, which in the DFW area, and then 22nd we're bringing it back to Houston. If anyone is interested, we are running a discount code for 35% off, and it's just the last discount. It's just spelled the way the last discount. So if anyone hasn't gotten a ticket yet, that's a pretty big discount we're giving out. If anyone thought about it or whatever, they can secure a ticket and come to the show and watch it.
Okay, again, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
you.